Hello, aspiring biologists. Welcome to a fascinating journey into the human body. Today, we are exploring the incredible world of the digestive system and focusing on a tiny yet mighty component, salivary glands. From understanding what makes your mouth water to delving into complex cellular mechanisms, we'll cover everything you need to know across 4 levels of depth. Get ready to uncover the secrets behind your smile. Ready to learn about the unsung heroes of your mouth? Let's start with the basics of salivary glands and their amazing work at the easy level. Salivary glands are special organs found in and around your mouth. Think of them as tiny factories producing saliva, which we commonly call spit. You actually have 3 main pairs of these glands. The largest pair, the parotid glands, are located near your ears. Then there are the submandibular glands, nestled under your jaw. And finally, the sublingual glands, which are found right under your tongue. Together, these glands work tirelessly to keep your mouth healthy and ready for digestion. So, what does this spit actually do? Well, saliva has several crucial jobs. Firstly, it keeps your mouth nice and wet, which is important for comfortable speaking and eating. When you chew, saliva mixes with your food, making it soft and slippery, so it's much easier to swallow. This mixture of food and saliva forms what we call a bolus. But saliva doesn't just help with swallowing, it also kickstarts the digestion process, beginning to break down your food even before it reaches your stomach. It's truly a multitasking liquid. Now, let's test your understanding with a few quick questions. First, can you name 2 main functions of saliva? Second, where exactly are the 3 main pairs of salivary glands located in your body? And third, what is the primary liquid produced by these glands? Take a moment to think about your answers. Great job with the basics. Now, let's dive a little deeper into the world of salivary glands and explore their functions and composition in more detail. Let's get specific about our major salivary glands. The parotid glands, located below your ears, are the largest and produce a watery, enzyme-rich saliva. Their ducts, called Stenson's ducts, open near your upper molars. Next, the submandibular glands, found under your jaw, produce a mix of watery and mucus saliva. Their ducts, Wharton's ducts, open under your tongue. Lastly, the smallest glands, the sublingual glands, are under your tongue and mainly produce thick, mucus saliva, with multiple small ducts opening into the mouth's floor. Each gland has a unique contribution to your overall saliva production. What's actually in saliva? It's mostly water, over 99% of it. The small remaining percentage contains vital components. You'll find electrolytes like sodium and potassium, important for chemical balance. Crucially, saliva contains enzymes such as salivary amylase, which starts starch digestion, and lingual lipase, which begins fat breakdown in the stomach. There's also mucus, which lubricates food, and antimicrobial agents like lysozyme and antibodies that protect your mouth from germs. It's a complex and protective cocktail. Saliva's functions extend far beyond just moistening food. It's essential for initial digestion, with amylase breaking down carbs. It lubricates food, helping form a soft bolus for easy swallowing. Saliva is also a natural mouthwash, cleaning away food debris and bacteria, protecting against cavities. Its antimicrobial components actively fight germs. Moreover, saliva dissolves food chemicals, enabling your taste buds to detect flavors, and it's vital for clear speech by lubricating your tongue and lips. Truly a versatile fluid. Time to practice what you've learned at the medium level. First, list the 3 major pairs of salivary glands. Second, what are the 2 main enzymes in saliva, and what do they digest? Third, explain how saliva aids in taste perception. Fourth, describe the difference in saliva produced under parasympathetic versus sympathetic stimulation. And finally, name 2 other important functions of saliva besides digestion. Pause here to consider your responses. Ready to unlock even more secrets of the salivary glands? Let's step up to the hard level, where we'll explore deeper anatomy, enzyme actions, and clinical connections. At the hard level, let's look closer at gland anatomy. The parotid gland, innervated by the glossopharyngeal nerve, is purely serous, producing watery, enzyme-rich saliva through Stenson's duct. The submandibular and sublingual glands are both innervated by the facial nerve. The submandibular gland is mixed, yielding about 70% of total saliva via Wharton's duct. The sublingual is predominantly mucus, secreting via multiple small ducts. Each gland's specific innervation and secretion type are crucial for coordinated oral function. Let's dive into the powerful enzymes in saliva. Salivary amylase, or ptyalin, works best at a neutral pH, breaking down starches alpha-1, 4-glycosidic bonds into smaller sugars. However, its activity is quickly halted by the stomach's strong acid. Lingual lipase, secreted by glands on the tongue, is different. It's most active in acidic conditions, meaning it primarily functions in the stomach, where it begins the crucial process of fat digestion. This division of labor ensures that both carbohydrates and fats start breaking down efficiently early in the digestive process. Saliva is a frontline defender. Lysozyme attacks bacterial cell walls, causing them to burst. Lactoferrin binds to iron, an essential nutrient, thereby starving bacteria and stopping their growth. Secretae IgA, a type of antibody, neutralize pathogens and prevents them from attaching to oral surfaces. Histatins are peptides with antifungal properties and aid in wound healing. Furthermore, bicarbonate and phosphate buffers in saliva maintain a stable pH, neutralizing acids produced by oral bacteria, which is vital for preventing tooth decay. These combined mechanisms create a robust defense system for your mouth. Now, it's time for some challenging questions. First, differentiate between the secretions of the parotid and sublingual glands. Second, explain the fate of salivary amylase once food reaches the stomach. Third, describe 2 distinct ways saliva contributes to antimicrobial defense. Fourth, how does parasympathetic stimulation affect salivary gland activity? Fifth, identify the duct associated with the submandibular gland. Sixth, discuss the primary function of lingual lipase. And seventh, what is xerostomia and its consequences? Take your time to formulate thorough answers. You've mastered the hard level. Are you ready to explore the cutting-edge science and competitive insights into salivary glands? Let's push our understanding to the hardest level. Let's peer into the microscopic world of salivary glands. They are composed of secretae units called acini, which can be serous, mucus, or mixed. Serous acini, found in the parotid, produce watery, enzyme-rich fluid. Mucus acini, prevalent in the sublingual glands, secrete viscous, lubricating mucus. Mixed acini, characteristic of the submandibular glands, contain both. From these acini, saliva flows through a complex duct system, intercalated ducts, striated ducts which modify saliva composition by reabsorbing ions, and finally, excretory ducts that transport the saliva out. This intricate structure allows for precise control over saliva's final composition. The production of saliva is a marvel of cellular engineering. Acinar cells perform primary secretion, actively transporting ions like sodium, potassium, and chloride into the lumen, drawing water along to create an isotonic, plasma-like fluid. They also synthesize and release proteins such as enzymes and mucins via exocytosis. As this primary saliva moves through the striated ducts, it undergoes significant modification. Here, sodium and chloride ions are actively reabsorbed, while potassium and bicarbonate are secreted, making the final saliva hypotonic. This precise ion exchange, influenced by hormones like aldosterone, fine-tunes saliva's composition for optimal digestive and protective functions. Let's delve deeper into enzyme kinetics and the role of minor glands. Salivary alpha-amylase, requiring chloride ions, specifically cleaves alpha-1, 4-glycosidic bonds in starch, but not branch points or terminal bonds, producing maltose and dextrins. Its activity is short-lived, denatured by stomach acid. Lingual lipase, secreted by Ebner's glands on the tongue, is unique. It's most active at acidic pH, making it crucial for fat digestion in the stomach, especially for short and medium-chain triglycerides, and particularly vital in infants. Beyond the major glands, hundreds of minor salivary glands continuously secrete mostly mucous saliva, crucial for constant lubrication and local immunity. They contribute to the salivary pellicle, a protective layer on teeth, and ensure a steady supply of antimicrobial agents to specific oral areas, providing a vital layer of defense. Salivary glands also have profound clinical implications and fascinating evolutionary tales. Conditions like Sjogren's syndrome, an autoimmune disease causing severe dry mouth and eyes, highlight their systemic importance. Salivary gland tumors, mostly benign, require careful diagnosis. Sialolithiasis, or salivary stones, can block ducts, causing pain. Diagnostic techniques like sialography and MRI are vital for identifying these issues. Evolutionarily, salivary glands have adapted remarkably across species. In snakes, they've transformed into venom glands for defense and predation. In blood-feeding insects, they produce anticoagulants. And in silkworms, they create silk. These diverse adaptations underscore the incredible versatility of this glandular structure, far beyond just human digestion. Let's tackle some advanced questions. First, describe the structural and functional differences between serous and mucous acini. Second, explain the process of ductal modification of primary saliva. Third, discuss the specific limitations of salivary amylase and how lingual lipase compensates. Fourth, elaborate on the combined role of minor salivary glands and the salivary pellicle. And fifth, how do aldosterone, substance P, and VIP differentially influence salivary gland function? Think critically about these complex concepts. Continuing with our deepest dive, sixth, compare and contrast Sjogren's syndrome and sialolithiasis. Seventh, detail the various antimicrobial components of saliva and their mechanisms of action. Eighth, outline the neural pathways involved in parasympathetic regulation of both the parotid and submandibular sublingual glands. Ninth, explain the evolutionary adaptation of salivary glands in venomous snakes. And 10th, if a patient presents with recurrent swelling and pain in the submandibular region, what diagnostic techniques would be considered? These questions will solidify your expert understanding. And that brings us to the end of our incredibly detailed journey through the salivary glands. We've covered everything from the basic why your mouth waters to the intricate cellular mechanisms and fascinating evolutionary adaptations. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this vital part of your digestive system. For more such comprehensive and engaging educational content, make sure to visit our website, synapse.omaps.in. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing biology lessons. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep your curiosity alive.